Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face while you're sleeping.
When you decide to take up a career as a mixed martial arts fighter, you have the potential to be immortalized with some amazing feats. A thrilling knockout or submission, a roaring comeback, or best of all, a world championship victory are all things which fighters strive to achieve to reach immortality in their eyes of MMA fans. And while it sounds wonderful, it obviously isn't quite in the cards for everybody. After all, if everybody was capable of getting these tremendous accomplishments, then they wouldn't be so great anymore. You need just as much failure and foolishness in the sport to complement those fantastic successes. And that's why we're here today, to remember those instances in MMA where a fighter did or said something that just made you shake your head in disbelief, or maybe even made you giggle a little bit like a schoolgirl at the same time. So without any further ado, here are the 15 most embarrassing moments in MMA history. Let's go. Number 15. Palhair's premature celebration. One of the most embarrassing things men can do in their everyday life is to, climax prematurely. It shows a lack of composure, and it ends a beautiful moment before it should end. Well, Rousimar Palhares did the MMA equivalent of that in UFC 134 against Dan Miller. After knocking down Miller with a kick, following up with some good ground and pound, Palhares just kind of stopped doing his job. He jumped to celebrate atop of the octagon cage, despite referee Herb Dean never stopping the fight. To make it more embarrassing, Palhares almost got knocked out right afterwards, but since he recovered and eventually won the fight anyway. This entry would have been on the top of the list had he lost the fight thanks to his little premature celebration.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that will take just 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell and you get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works.
Number 14. Chuck Liddell gets knocked out. If anything could be learned from decades of combat sports, is that a championship fighter's life can be pretty hectic. Training, friends, and perhaps the most stressful of all, media, all take a toll on you and you make you feel drained, as the Iceman Chuck Liddell found out on his Good Morning Texas interview in 2007. Appearing to promote the movie 300, Liddell was suffering from pneumonia and hopped up on a sleeping pill and NyQuil. For those of you who don't know, NyQuil is a medicine for cold and flu and is known to cause drowsiness. Clearly, Liddell should have known better. Anyway, in no shape to give an interview, Liddell slurred through his answers and had the host look extremely concerned about the health of the champ. While everything was fine with Liddell, it almost looked like the medicine had him knocked out the whole time. Number 13. Nevada State Athletic Commission versus ICE. Few competitors inside the UFC octagon are more difficult to put away than the solid form of dihydrogen monoxide, also known as ice. At UFC 109, in between rounds of the fight between Melvin Guillard and Rony Torres, a nefarious bag of ice decided to burst open and spill its contents all over the octagon floor. Try as they might, the Nevada State Athletic Commission couldn't quite defeat the ice. If we can't expect them to follow their own punishment regulations for drug failures, then how can we expect them to clean up ice? Number 12. David Gardner says hello. If we were still living in the days where a pure grappler was able to fight a pure striker, Shinya Oiki may have been pound for pound legend. His frighteningly good groundwork and flair for dramatic submission makes him a tall order for any man, and David Gardner knew that. It doesn't make this any less embarrassing. At Dream 9, Gardner had Sheikha Oiki, as I mentioned, a wizard on the mat, on his back. Knowing he was done like a Thanksgiving turkey, Gardner decided to wave and scream to the crowd, "Hello, Japan!" Literally immediately after, Oiki locked a vice grip, near naked choke, and tapped Gardner. As a result, not only had he lost the match, he lost his flair for the theatrics as well. Number 11. Harold Howard has a saying. Just like Donald Trump doesn't speak for all Americans, Harold Howard sure as hell doesn't speak for all Canadians. Back in the early, barely legal days of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, not Ultimate Fighting Challenge, as Howard would state, the company seemed to throw almost anybody into a cage to scrap it out, or get thrown to the wolves versus Royce Gracie. Howard tried to give himself a little bit of a self-promotion. We have a saying back home, if you're coming on, then come on. all while there's a dramatic pause and whipping off of sunglasses before the final. Then come on! As many of you citizens of the beautiful nation of Canada can also confirm, there is no such expression in Canada, or even anywhere else in the world. Number 10. Fighters crapping themselves, Part 1. Back at UFC Fight Night 35, Romero took on Derek Brunson, and at some point during the fight, viewers at home noticed a particular brown spot on his otherwise purple shorts. It appears that in victory, this soldier of God had to celebrate with some soiled shorts. Romero would then claim that it was water, but come on. That answer is full of, well, whatever was on your shorts, and you know it. Number 9. Spinning back fail fist. Remember when Chael Sonnen was thought to be the guy who was going to defeat Anderson Silva? After nearly taking the Spider's title before being stopped via triangle armbar, Sonnen defeated Brian Stann and Michael Bisping to receive a second shot at Silva. Mounting Silva in the first round, it looked entirely possible that Sonnen could do what he did the first time once again. A giant miscalculation came, however, when Sonnen attempted a spinning back fist and instead completely wiped out and fell on his butt. Once down, Silva blasted Sonnen with a knee to the body and finished him off shortly thereafter. So close, yet so far. Number 8. Rocking a Speedo. Ever since Georges St. Pierre started the trend of wearing super tight shorts rather than board shorts, we've seen nearly every fighter switch over to the style GSP started rocking around UFC 74. Thank the Lord nobody began wearing Speedos like Dennis Hallman did in UFC 133. Now, we're all for letting people decide what they want to wear in order to be comfortable, but hey, for a sport like MMA, nobody wants to be uncomfortable watching you wrestle in Speedos. Number 7. Self-promotion fail. Some fighters just have their innate ability to grab people's attention wherever they go. Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Kyle Sonnen, all have shown power over audiences which draws people to them. Paul Bonatello is not one of those people. In an attempt to build a catchphrase for himself after knocking out Justin Ehlers at UFC 51, Bonatello signaled to the crowd to follow him on his catchphrase, "Don't fear me," waits for the crowd to miss their cue, "Fear the consequences." Bonatello asked before that if he had any fans. Well, unfortunately for him, he got his answer. Number 6. Wanderlei Silva loves him some Iceman. Chuck Liddell is a good-looking, rugged man. No homo though. This is straight out of respect. You can definitely see how he was able to party it up in Las Vegas with various ladies. However, we don't want to sleep with Chuck. A certain axe murderer does though. Back when Pride was still around, a fight between light heavyweight champions Wanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell was being planned out if Liddell could retain his title in the next defense. In order to hype up the fight at UFC 61, Dana White brought Silva and Liddell into the cage. However, throughout the course of his speech, Silva mixed up the words fight and Chuck and instead said the F word. Pretty embarrassing and weird all at the same time. Number 5. Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice, aka the biggest example of unwarranted hype in MMA history, never anything more than a sloppy, heavy-handed brawler. Slice still managed to trick a lot of people into thinking he was going to be the next big thing. Well, he was a pretty hard-hitting street fighter. Anyone who had the internet back in the early 2000s has seen a random video of Kimbo Slice roughing up some guy in a street fight. Anyway, thank goodness for Seth Petrozelli, shattering that illusion for them. At Elite XC Heat, the unknown Petrozelli filled in for an injured Ken Shamrock to fight the touted Slice, and with a single punch, knocked down his opponent. A few ground and pound shots later, Petrozelli destroyed Slice's hype and unknowingly dismantled an entire Elite XC promotion. Number 4. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's loss to Holly Holm is a giant black mark on her career, apart from the time when she randomly appeared in the Fast and the Furious movie franchise and got beaten by a car mechanic girl. Anyway, moving on. While the fight as a whole was a horrible nightmare for Rousey, there was one moment in particular that perfectly encapsulated the entire fight. About 40 seconds into the second round, Rousey lunged for a left hook and Holm ducked to her own right side, and Rousey dropped to a knee and hit the fence. The bull and the matador acted by Holly Holm. Since her loss, however, she lost another fight against Amanda Nunes, and it is unlikely that she'll make a comeback. These days, you can find her with the WWE. Number 3. Fighters Crapping Themselves Part 2. Tim Sylvia. Yep, just like Yoel Romero earlier on the list, Tim Sylvia also crapped his shorts inside the octagon, way back at Ultimate Fight Night 3 versus Asario Silva. Apparently suffering from an illness, and as a result lacking control of his bowels, Sylvia punched, kicked, and crapped his way to a title shot. We believe that crapping during a match might be the best way to throw off an opponent and have them in submission within no time. And now get ready for today's top pick. Number 2, Gray Maynard knocks himself out. You just come off the Ultimate Fighter reality show, and you want to make a good impact in your official UFC debut. The last thing you want to do is make a fool of yourself and knock yourself out. But that's fine Gray Maynard. He does not want any sane advice. After stunning Rob Emerson with a series of punches in their fight at the TUF 5 finale, Maynard picked up Emerson for a double leg takedown, slammed him damn near through the mat, and forced a tap out due to injured ribs. Apparently, he slammed a little too hard because Maynard's head hit the canvas and the blow knocked himself out as the opponent tapped. Pretty embarrassing for an accomplished wrestler like Gray Maynard. Just saying. Number 1. James Toney's MMA career. In what was clearly the most embarrassing showing by any fighter to enter the UFC octagon, James Toney showed just how desperate some former stars are for some attention and money. After running his mouth on the sport of mixed martial arts and the UFC Hall of Famer Randy Couture for months, it was finally time for James Toney to put up or shut up at UFC 118, and what a glorious failure it was. Within 15 seconds, Toney found himself on his back, and shortly thereafter found himself mounted by Couture. The Natural pounded on Toney's head until he was bored and decided to end it with an arm triangle to put the boxer out of his misery. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching today's video, hope that you enjoyed it, and please stay tuned for some more great content.